Kagame's army pushed through the refugee camps all the way to the capital, Kinshasa, over 1,200 miles, justifying the move to overthrow Mobutu by pointing to his support for and protection of the Rwandan Hutu militias. Parenthetically, this was Kagame's third successful regime change, as he had previously helped lead the takedown of a dictator in Uganda and captured power in Rwanda from the genocidal regime, and now had engineered the removal of Mobutu. Eyewitnesses said Rwandan troops killed huge numbers of Rwandan Hutu refugees who had fled the camps into the interior of Congo. Rwandan army troops and columns of Congolese child soldiers affiliated with Laurent Kabila's AFDL rebel group committed a number of massacres of refugees. In Tingi Tingi camp, for example, tens of thousands of Hutus were slain. In the Congolese region bordering Rwanda, Rwandan government forces systematically rounded up and killed thousands of Hutu villagers, accusing them of supporting the génocidaires, the Rwandan Hutu militias. A UN investigation found that tens of thousands of refugees were deliberately killed, the majority of whom were children, women, the elderly, and the sick. The UN report concluded that there may have been acts of genocide committed, as the killing was done in such a systematic way. The Tutsi populations, both Rwandan and Congolese, have been at the center of the conflict in eastern Congo, just as they have been in Rwanda and Burundi. Jason Stearns asserts that no other sentiment has justified as much violence in the Congo as anti-Tutsi ideology. Tutsi have been both victims and killers on a massive scale, the violence fueled by struggles over land tenure, citizenship, and access to resources. The US and UK supported Kagame, and by extension his intervention in Congo, deeply embarrassed by their non-response to the Rwandan genocide just a few years earlier. About that American and British support for Rwanda's invasion, historian David Van Raybroek concludes, the backing for Rwanda and the rebels would unleash years of misery. Kabila turns on Rwanda. Laurent Kabila was installed as president in May 1997, and he changed the name of the country back to Congo from Zaire. He spent a lot of time signing all kinds of shady deals with mining companies and immediately began displaying authoritarian tendencies. Within a year, he had turned on his former patrons in Rwanda and Uganda. He whipped up sentiment against Rwandan Tutsis, playing on pre-existing prejudices, as a wide swath of Congolese people thought and continue to believe that the Rwandans want Congo's raw materials and land. Most damagingly, Laurent Kabila's government began supplying arms to some of the Rwandan Hutu militias. Shortly thereafter, according to political scientists Philip Ressler and Harry Verhoeven, Paul Kagame gave the green light to proceed with a regime change strategy in Congo. The Second Congo War. In July 1998, Kabila announced that all Rwandan and foreign soldiers had to leave Congo. Within a week, Rwanda invaded Congo again, and the Second Congo War was on. This time, the invading Rwandan army went straight for Kinshasa, commandeering planes all over East and Central Africa and flying soldiers directly to the outskirts of Congo's capital city. However, unlike the first time, the Rwandans didn't seek Angola's approval in advance. Angola had its own strategic calculations, and neighboring Zimbabwe had economic motives. Angola attacked Rwanda's forces when they were about to take Kinshasa, and Zimbabwe deployed forces to Kinshasa to defend Kabila's government. Eventually, 10 African countries and 30 local militias became embroiled in the conflict, which came to be known as Africa's First World War. Congo, Angola, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Sudan, Chad, and Libya were allied against Rwanda, Uganda, and Burundi, producing a bloody military stalemate. At the time, Kabila continued to support the Rwandan militias responsible for the genocide.